Tonight we gather here to honor a woman who has not been forgotten, a woman who was a pioneer and a multi-hyphenate, a filmmaker, a playwright, an author, a civil rights activist, and so much more. We are here to honor Kathleen Collins. Tonight, we are here honoring Kathleen with the Gotham's inaugural Gotham Icon Tribute, an award conceived by our Gotham Awards Advisory Committee to serve as an elevated moment during the Gotham Awards to call attention to the boldness, artistry, and impact of a filmmaker from a marginalized community whose work has not been recognized by the Gotham Awards in its previous 30 years. To join me in celebrating Kathleen Collins, please welcome to the stage the star of Losing Ground and arts advocate, Seret Scott.
Hello, I'm very happy to be here. Kathleen first shared her renowned film, Losing Ground, with the Gotham as part of the 1982 Gotham Week Project Market. At that time, it was known as the American Independent Feature Film Market. A film that was ahead of its time, Losing Ground challenged the stereotypical narratives of how the Black experience was depicted in mainstream cinema during a time when Black women were rarely seen behind the camera.
We would like to thank Kathleen for her boldness of storytelling, artistry, and overall impact her work has had on previous generations of storytellers, as well as her unwavering influence and inspiration for generations to come. And with that, I would like to introduce Kathleen's daughter, Nina Collins, to accept the inaugural Gotham Icon Tribute for Kathleen Collins.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. This was really moving to me. Before I say my brief comments that I prepared, I want to say that Jane Campion is my hero. I've always loved Jane Campion. The Piano is literally my favorite movie ever. So these were not prepared. I just am so thrilled to be here with Jane Campion. I think she's a genius, and I wish my mother had seen her films. Also, being here tonight is, I'm 52, and I went into book publishing intentionally to kind of not do what my mother did. My mother was an independent filmmaker, and we really struggled financially, and there was a lot of stress. And I went into kind of trade book publishing my whole career to kind of be a little bit more conventional. And this is the first evening, I swear, in my entire life I've thought, oh God, maybe I should have done something else. This is such a lovely evening. A lovely evening, and and Ethan Hawke and I have been friends for about 30 years, so it was a really nice coming together of various lives for me, so thank you. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to to Jeff Sharp, to Kia. I'm just gonna read from what I wrote. I'm not gonna read from the teleprompter. You know, it's not fair to go late. I've had a lot to drink. So thank you so much to Jeff Sharp, Kia Brooks, Gina Duncan, Miracle Baker, and particularly Asha Boston, who directed that incredibly gorgeous tribute reel, which I so appreciate and made me cry. My mother died 33 years ago, in 1988. She'd never had a book published. Her work had never been reviewed by anything but a few small-town local papers. She did get a New York Times obituary and a beautiful one from the Village Voice, so she wasn't entirely unknown. And I know she was really proud of what she'd accomplished. She was a beloved professor at City College. She'd workshopped a play with Joe Papp at the Public Theater. She'd had other plays produced at places like Julia Miles' The Women's Project, and she'd produced and directed 2 films, the second of which is Losing Ground, which is an incredible feature which she completed in 1982. Which Seret starred in. And I also want to tell you that Seret and I were with my mother in her dying days at Sloan Kettering. So Seret is not just the actress of her film, but was her beloved protege. And Literally, Seret and I painted my mother's toenails in the last days before she died. So Seret is a big part of my personal history. And she did this all by her mid-40s, all while raising 2 kids alone, me and my brother Emilio, who's here in the audience tonight. There's Emilio. She was really a powerhouse. I was a child during all of this. She died when I was 19. So I was a bystander to a really kind of powerhouse of a mother, a woman who I later learned was also sick with breast cancer during most of our childhood, which she kept a secret. This effort I've made over the last 6 years to bring my mother's work into the public eye has felt like nothing short, maybe now I'll read from no, it's too hard, nothing short of a graceful miracle. At every step along the way, the dedication of Dennis Doros and Amy Heller at Milestone Films, the genius art direction at Echo, who chose Lorna Simpson's artwork for the book covers, the passion of the New Yorker's Richard Brody, perhaps her most ardent reviewer. The list really goes on. Sometimes people credit me with having done such a good job, and the truth is that her work was simply ready to be received. She truly was ahead of her time. I feel like it's a cliche, but I learned today it's actually an idiom. It's not a cliche. She really was ahead of her time. When my mother showed Losing Ground to distributors, as you've seen before, in 1982, she was actually told that the characters weren't really Black people. And while I can't quite imagine what that moment must have been like for her, I have moments now where I've started to accept that I can only trust that she must know that her characters are her characters and her language are profoundly received now as being real and impactful and moving. And for many young Black women artists, where it's been really most moving to me, they've been really life-changing. So I'm forever grateful to all of you. I'm grateful to Gotham for acknowledging her work, and to all of you, thank you.